Welcome to the Orphic, where we talk all things beyond ordinary understanding. I'm Alyssa Sokol with Interdimensional Astrophysics. This is Michaela with Mariposa Moonchild.
Hello. Hi, everyone. So to start off this episode, we're just going to do a little bit of a grounding in. So if you're driving, please don't shut your eyes. And everyone else, if you have the chance, just close your eyes for a second, put your hand on your heart, and let's just take a moment to ground in and relax. So imagine roots coming out of your root chakra at the base of your spine and grounding down deep into the earth. Deeper and deeper and deeper they go until they wrap around a large rose quartz crystal. At this time, you can feel the bright white light energy from Mother Gaia filling up your roots and coming all the way back up into your root chakra into your body. This white light circulates around your body until every single cell in your body is vibrating with this beautiful bright white light energy. Now at this time, we'll take a few releasing breaths and just release anything that's negative or heavy today. So take a big breath in, filling your lungs all the way to the top. Pause. Open your mouth and let it out. Releasing anything negative, anything heavy, anything that's weighing you down. Again, one big breath. Fill your lungs all the way up from the middle of the earth through your roots. Hold. Open your mouth and release. Anything that's not serving you, anything that happened earlier today, any anxiety and stress, let it all go. We'll do one more. Big breath in. Pause. Fine. Open your mouth. Release. Finally letting go of anything stuck or stagnant, anything extra. Letting it go. And when you're ready, opening your eyes and arriving back in this space.
Awesome. I love that we are starting with that. I think that it's definitely a little different. I don't think people are going to be used to starting a podcast and taking 3 deep breaths when you start, but maybe people will learn something from it, learn that it changes your experience, because something that I learned in my Kundalini classes this week is breath is wisdom. So when you're lacking wisdom, breathe. It's true.
Yeah, I love that. I think it's just a nice moment to take a second and just ground in, because that also like vibrationally can change the frequency of what you're listening to.
Totally, of course.
So
yeah.
And can really anchor that into your body for a deeper type of integration as you process. So, and that's with what we're talking about with everything beyond ordinary understanding. I'm really hoping to open up those chakras and let that stuff really integrate and anchor in for our audience.
Definitely. And breath work is so important. So yes. Today we're going to give a little overview of what we're going to be talking about today. So we're kind of some of the astrophysics or more like physicsy cool topics that I'm going to bring to the table today have to do with some cool unsolved problems in astrophysics, stuff about the universe and how it's all connected, and just really, really interesting things that we don't understand. So I want to talk about that a little bit, just to really kind of start us off on a astrophysics-y kind of note with the podcast, and really hopefully like make it interesting for people and have people thinking about the universe a little bit. And then I also want to talk about quantum physics and the quantum field and kind of how our intentions affect our reality, and also a little bit about glitches in the matrix and the Mandela effect, which people might have heard of. So these are things I'm going to be talking about. And we're also going to be talking about spirit guides a little bit too. Michaela, talk about what you wanted to bring up today.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about spirit guides and what it looks like to have a spirit team on the other side, and who are they, why they're here, and what kind of ways they're helping us, and what we can look out for or be aware of. when they enter our
And
field. So yeah,
we're also gonna get a firsthand look at my own spirit guides, right? Some of them.
Oh, yeah. And we're also going to do a little bit of a channeling on Alyssa's spirit guides and see what that looks like and what's going to come through. So that's going to be super cool and fun. I also wanted to mention, while you're talking about the astrophysicist stuff, you had recently talked about a reading you had about where you were like this light in the center of the universe. And I thought it'd be really interesting to touch on that a little bit and explain how that is actually a synchronicity to your thesis that you're working on right now and your PhD that you're finishing up. So that'd be really cool. And then also, before we get into these topics, I would just like to start with Alyssa, how are you doing today? How are you? How's it going, girlfriend?
Me? I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, I've actually been doing really well lately. I'm in the process of some intense healing, or let's just say I'm coming out of a really intense time from 2022 for myself. A lot of depression, a lot of addiction, a lot of things that I am definitely completely down to get into more on here. I'm an open book. But yeah, so right now I'm working on my dissertation, working on finishing my PhD, depending on when we release. Might be before or shortly after I get my PhD. But yeah, what I've really been working on is like resetting my nervous system. So our nervous system is like the most important thing to how we function, because all of our nerves, right, they're connected to our brain. And the truth is, like, our nervous system it completely sets up the way that we operate. And if your nervous system is out of whack, then all of your life is going to be out of whack. And so it's connected to the brain, right? And so one of the things that I've been getting into as a new practice of mine that I'm really loving is Kundalini yoga. And some people, obviously everyone's familiar with what yoga is in general, and a lot of the things that we do in Kundalini, some of them are regular yoga practices. The way that I would describe Kundalini, I feel like, is it's yoga paired with what it is yoga paired with strong intention and strong like mantra. And so what mantra is sound that has is just words. I mean, any mantra, you can use the mantra like I am well, I'm healthy, but so there's these mantras and they're really high vibrational. And so when you breathe in and when you replace your mental monkey mind with these mantras, with a high vibrational mantra, they completely just like change the set point of your vibration. And Kundalini is so it's about that. But the other thing that's so interesting is, it's also, speaking of the nervous system, we do a lot of mudras. And so what a mudra is just putting your hands in different positions. And this is something, part of the reason that I'm so into Kundalini and why is because I really want to understand how it works. So, like the fingers are kind of connected to the planets, or in the practice of Kundalini, I believe the pointer is the Jupiter finger and the middle finger is the Saturn finger. I think pinky is Mercury or something. And so there's these meditations that we do where you are so specifically like putting your hands in different positions, and Kundalini is all channeled ancient wisdom. But what everyone says is that it's actually like, it's the science, it's the medical science of the future. It really is. Like, we are on our way to implementing these things to heal us. And it's just so fascinating. And it's just all these movements to really help the nervous system and help with breath work and all these things. And we do a lot of things breath work things where you get a head rush and it completely resets you. Things like breath work, that's why I've been getting so into this lately, because it just completely resets you. If you're having a bad morning, if you're feeling like really whack, like after I do one of these breath work things, and also what it is it's strengthening, it is strengthening your body. And what I've learned in it is that strengthening your body is strengthening your aura. This is actually the main thing that I've learned in the last few weeks, and which is important for me because I am just coming out of like a long period of time, like a few years where I like really wasn't connecting with my body and I wasn't moving my body, and I'm learning in these last few weeks or so of a practically daily practice of Kundalini. The physical strength of your body is directly correlated to your spiritual, emotional, like all of your auric well-being, as in auric as in aura. So I've been...
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Actually, it's kind of cool that you mentioned that, because I had a session today with a client and we talked about how her aura was very like bogged down by heaviness. And I see that with people a lot, where it's like, if you want to think of your aura as like a little light inside of your chest, I'm so close to the mic, as this little light inside of your chest, and then it likes to move out, and if it's a healthy aura, or it kind of like encapsulates your body. But I wasn't seeing that with her. It was really tight inside of her, so there was barely any light shining through, and there's this really kind of dense heaviness around this. And I can really relate to that, because that's how I used to be, and probably on some days still am. So then that's where I talked to her about some tools that came from her guides for emotional regulation, or just like regulation, which is exactly what you're talking about. And with that regulation, you're able to expand that a little bit more, and then sit in your own confidence and your own trust and move throughout the world like that. So it is really important for these types of practices, because then we're able to align to our higher purpose, or whatever that is.
Right. It's like, these are the things that actually give you the strength to show up in life. And I am living, I'm living proof of it in the last 2 weeks. I went from being very dysfunctional like a month ago to all of a sudden I'm practicing this. My nervous system is balanced. I'm trusting myself. I'm making the commitment to myself, and all of a sudden you just have the energy, you have the ability to show up, and you have the trust in yourself to show up. And it's really interesting. And I mean, that's cool as part of your psychic gifts and everything, that you're able to tap into that and see that your client's aura is weakened. And that's such a thing, that part of Kundalini is strengthening the aura, and the aura originates from the magnetic field. It's a torus shape that comes out of us.
Yeah, exactly.
So how have you been doing? What's up with you?
Yeah, I feel like I'm overall pretty good. Also, like, kind of just riding that wave, and same as you, just finding kind of what works as to how I can regulate myself and kind of set myself up for success. Because I would say not very long ago, I'd also sometimes be in that dark place where it felt like it was really difficult to do these things. But I know you said earlier the word commit, you're committing to your practice or whatever. And I think that I can also relate to that, and how once you decide to commit to something and then you have your devotion there, how that also helps strengthen the aura and helps you move through. So did I answer the question how I am? Probably not really. How am I? I'm okay. Things are good. I feel like I don't have much more to add to that today.
Okay. Well, that's good. We'll just have to crack you open a little bit more next time.
A little bit. I'm like, what's coming through for that? I don't know.
Okay.
We will. Other days there'll be more.
There's gonna be plenty more. Don't you guys worry. All right. So let me think if there was anything else I wanted to add to that. Oh yeah, I just wanted to make one other note about that. Yeah, that idea of that commitment. And I think I just think that when it comes to personal, like, self-development and self-growth and everything, I think like you're not ready until you're ready to make those decisions. And I wasn't ready for most of 2022, and I just have like the awareness of that. I'm like so aware. And when I was doing really badly, like, I was so aware that I was not ready to do these things that I knew that I should or could do. And just kind of like all of a sudden I was ready and I was able to. And I think that's important, because I'm really keen on not like telling anyone what to do, or like not even like, I mean, you could suggest things or whatever, but the truth of the matter is if you're not ready, if you're not in that space, then you're just not going to do it. And that's also okay. That's the other thing.
It's like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force them to drink.
And that's the other thing. It's completely okay if you're not ready. Like, I'm so not into forcing growth on people or in yourself or anything. Like, you just literally can't. You literally can't. Like, sometimes you'll try, and maybe you'll try and keep it up for a few days or whatever, but maybe you're just not ready to sustain it. So that's another thing.
And that's okay. And that's okay if you're in that space. Like, I believe that there's no good or bad. There just is. So I think the main thing is just being aware of that. And I was thinking about that today, because I think it's also really important to be like, when it comes to, because I will obviously be talking a lot about healing. We will be talking a lot about healing. We already are with like our self-regulation, stuff like that, that we're not here, or even when you choose to embark on a healing journey, we're not here to fix anyone, or you don't need to be fixed. You're not broken. So I kind of like sat with my guides a bit and asked like what that meant. And they meant that, again, there is no good or bad, there just is. But then it came down to wanting to emotionally regulate to strengthen the aura, which we already talked about, to be able to step into that timeline that you see for yourself. But that doesn't mean that you have to fix yourself or that you're broken.
All right, so let's start talking about some of the things we're going to talk about today.
Sounds good.
I guess I'll start a little bit with the astrophysics stuff. So on my Instagram page, Interdimensional Astrophysics, I was thinking to kind of start this new series of about unsolved problems in astrophysics. And what I really want to do is bring that awareness to people of what is, just first off, just how much there is that is unknown in astrophysics. And like a simple example, just things that people might, the average person that doesn't study astronomy might think that we already know, because a lot of these things are just in our solar system. Like, for example, one of the things is we don't know why the outermost layer of the sun is like similar temperature to the core of the sun. It doesn't make any sense. That's our own sun. And we also know a lot about galaxies that are really, really, really far away, but there's unsolved things in our sun that we don't know. And so
how do you even know what the temperature of the sun is on the outside or the inside? That seems wild to me. How the fuck do you know that, Alyssa? You don't know that.
Let's
prove it.
Well, basically, the way that you measure temperatures is
you're like, I learned this in like my first year of school. This is so juvenile.
Well, no, it's the concept is black body emission. It's just any body that's radiating light has some temperature associated with it. So a black body is, in theory, a perfect absorber and a perfect emitter. So this is like what you learn in like astrophysics, not even astrophysics 101. It's more like astrophysics 251, whatever I did at Colgate. Shout out. So there's a spectrum, there's an energy distribution spectrum of some source of light, and based on where it peaks, there's a like equation to describe how the energy is a function of temperature. And so the temperature of where it peaks in that formalism is how we figure out the temperature of things, in addition to kind of some other measurements. And also, in general, just I feel like for some reason I am called to mention this, temperature is only a measurement of how fast or slow particles are moving, and that's it.
Which is a measurement of energy, and we are here to talk all things energy. Exactly. Also, okay, I believe you. We can. All right. That's fine.
All right. Great. I passed. Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to talk about today that I thought was a kind of cool introduction, because it encompasses the whole universe, but it encompasses a really important aspect of it, which is that everything is connected. So this gets into, there's a deeper side of this that gets into quantum physics a little bit. Because the truth is everything is connected. It is a big universe, but quantum physics states that a particle at one end of the universe and a particle at the other end of the universe can know about each other. So technically, spatial separation is not as big of a limitation or a factor as we think it is. And we don't understand how that works at all.
That's wild to me. But I don't know shit.
So you might have heard of the Big Bang Theory, not the show.
I have.
Great.
Might have.
So it's a pretty crappy theory, to be honest. Oh, I said it.
Oh,
I said it.
She said it.
She said it. So I want to talk about how some of the ideas that we have in the Big Bang Theory are invoked, but are ridiculous, but are invoked to make sense of these things that don't make sense. Okay, so like, I'm bracing myself here. So we have a large universe, right? So we're in the Earth. If you look out to one side, so Earth is a globe, or so we think.
Well, that's a topic for not today. For another time.
The physical Earth is a globe.
Yes.
So essentially, okay, the universe is 13.7 billion years old. So this is called the horizon problem in cosmology. So cosmology is the study of the large scale universe and kind of how the universe came to be. Cosmology involves the Big Bang theory, all that stuff, and the expansion. We live in, from our current understanding, we live in a universe that is expanding, and the expansion is accelerating. So it's not just like so what that means. So it's not just expanding at a constant rate; it's accelerating. It's moving out. The velocity is increasing. So
yeah, I got that.
So the horizon problem is that, first off, it necessitates that every part of the universe had to be together at some point. That every part of the universe had to know about the other parts at some point. And that's also kind of looped to like the Big Bang theory and because the Big Bang theory says that everything started. I mean, even I feel like most people probably have a little bit of an idea of what the Big Bang theory is, even if they don't know. They're like, oh yeah, you start and then it just explodes, right?
Yeah, totally.
And so that goes along with the idea that everything was once connected. And so when we look out at both sides of the universe, we look out in all directions of the universe, there's something called the cosmic microwave background, which basically is just like the background temperature. It's almost like just like the ambient temperature of the universe. So we have these telescopes, or we have the ability to like image full 360 like all around the Earth and make these maps and diagrams. So the temperature of everywhere in the universe, like the microwave background, is the same to 5 orders of five orders of magnitude. So what that means is like 5 decimal points out of the number. Cosmic microwave background is 2.73 Kelvin. And most people don't measure their temperature in Kelvin, but astronomers do. So this is what it is. We look out and we see to 5 so I'm saying this is high precision. This is not just like similar-ish. Like this is part of why this is so baffling. High precision. The temperature of everywhere in the universe, all directions, is the exact same. And what that means is that at some so the reason that this is confusing, the reason that this doesn't make sense, even with kind of like everything coming together in a sense, is because when you look out in one direction, basically like when you look out in space, we're looking back in time, right? Maybe you've heard that before, like, right? Like, oh, those stars might not even be there. Those galaxies might not even be there. So you're looking back in time. And so we can measure how far back you're looking in time. And so that's basically how we know that the universe is 13 billion years old, because when we look back, and it's actually called the look back time in astronomy. Okay. We look back and we see, 13 billion years. Cool. But there's multiple directions. So it goes, so say you're standing here and put your arms out, it goes 13 billion years that way, and it goes 13 billion years that way. That doesn't make sense, because together that's 26 billion years, not 13 billion years, if you're kind of visualizing it as like this expanding thing. So that is one conundrum. And part of what is invoked to explain this is the theory of inflation. So there was a period of time shortly after the Big Bang, I believe like 10 to the negative 42 seconds shortly after the Big Bang. Oh my God, I think I remember that from studying for my qualifying exam. Just some numbers get burned in your mind. So there was a period of time that was like extremely infinitesimal time that the universe expanded extremely rapidly, like ridiculous. And this is invoked to explain that, to say that these temperatures must have all known about each other because they were connected, right? Inflation, though, and I always love to mention this, we had at UMass like a few years ago, or maybe it was like one of my first few years, we had Jerry Oestreicher, one of the most famous, well-known cosmologists in the world. He came in and talked to us, and we had lunch with him, and he was like, well, I don't understand inflation. And so I actually I quote, I guess if I've given a talk about the universe or like cosmology, I like to quote that because it was so funny to me that like the top cosmologists, and right, we have these theories going on, Big Bang Theory, this is really the standing theories, and they're maybe being questioned, but we don't really have anything better. This is a ridiculous idea, and not to say that ridiculous things can't exist, but it's basically, it was like the way that it was created was like a backtrack. It was like, all right, well, these things must have been touching each other, so there must have been a period of time in the universe where everything just went crazy and expanded, and then it stopped doing that, and then it started doing other things, and it's like, oh, well, that must be, it was like that was the only way to explain it. Mm-hmm. So how is this making sense to you?
It's a lot to take in, but what I'm getting is that there's a lot of mysteries in the universe and that we don't know anything, including one of the top guys of the cosmology or whatever. He's just like, fuck, I don't even know. Exactly. I don't get this. I don't understand that. So there's a lot of room to speculate, as well as a lot of room to probably learn or channel or fill in the blanks here. Like basically we just don't know. Like as far as science has taken us, we still don't know so many things about the universe, and that's what I find really interesting.
Yes, we don't know, and so of course I'll work on, as the podcast goes, I'll work on my astrophysical explanations and all these things to make them understandable. We're getting there. We'll do it. But the takeaway,
to dumb it down.
The takeaway that I want everyone to bring home from this, or at least definitely as it pertains to like our own curiosities in the universe and the spiritual aspect, is definitely has to do with that temperature thing that I mentioned. That the edge of the universe everywhere all has the same temperature out to 5 decimal points. And that means that everything is connected, and we just...
So I just want to clarify. So like a burning star that you think would be like hot, molten lava is the same temperature as just like the space.
Oh, no, sorry. Okay, no, thank you for clarifying. Okay. I mean like the background radiation of the universe. So kind of just like it's almost like the remnants. It's kind of just like the background scatter of everything. So it's not the individual objects. There's variation within the universe.
You're speaking about literally the space, like
right?
The space.
Exactly. Kind of like the space, but like, and I know it's hard to envision. It's even hard to envision for me, and that's why a lot of these cosmology concepts, like there's some other unsolved problems that are way harder to envision. I feel like this is maybe a little bit easier to kind of grasp on. It's the background temperature. It's just like kind of the remnant radiation temperature of the ambient edge of the universe. Everywhere we look out, all 13 billion years ago is all the same. And so it means that everything's connected. And the moral of the story of this is that we kind of have this theory as to how it's all connected. And that theory, even by the top cosmologists in the world, is completely like questioned. So
I feel like, bottom line, even where we have progressed with science and stuff, we still don't know. We still don't know about a lot of things.
Exactly.
Which is really interesting, because I feel like nowadays a lot of people take things as fact, and that whatever's put out there in articles and this is like fact, and that's it, and we know, but there's a lot of things that we don't know.
Exactly. And so thanks for bearing with me on that one. That was definitely a bigger concept. Some of the other unsolved problems in astrophysics that I'm going to talk about are a little bit more, maybe just about a single star, just about how the single star operates. When you talk about the universe, it's a lot. It's even for me, it's a lot to conceptualize.
Well, do you know anything bigger than the universe?
No, we don't.
So that would be a lot.
would be.
So yeah.
Right. Yes. Okay. Well, that was fun.
Yeah. I mean, I love to learn. I was definitely interested. I think it's great.
Right. So I'm gonna talk a little bit before we get into spirit guide stuff. Just to kind of add in one other fun topic, especially in these first few episodes, right? We really want to give you guys like a sample of what we're going to be talking about and just kind of things to like really break your mind. Sorry, but like that's the way that these things work. I just want to talk a little bit about like the quantum field and glitches in the matrix and kind of about our intention and how our intentions modify things. So essentially, like quantum physics states that nothing is really rigid. Like nothing really exists in its one spot. And I guess a little bit about the origin of this kind of has to do with the uncertainty principle, which deals with the electron clouds outside of atoms and how they're just moving fast. And the general idea is that you can never really pinpoint the location of anything. And that's important. Like you can never really pinpoint the location of something. Everything exists in kind of this probability state. And actually, yeah, okay, this is good. This is kind of just coming to me now, which is great. That's just the way I wanted it.
Yeah.
And so everything, including our lives, including every path that we take, is a probability function, meaning it's not one way. It is a set of different probabilities, meaning one thing has a higher probability than another thing. So maybe the highest probable timeline of this morning was me sleeping late, not doing Kundalini, which is exactly what happened. Maybe the second most probable timeline of what happened was something else, right? So that's the ideas in quantum physics, and I just want to really like mention that. Yeah, that's how it also applies to our lives and to what's happening in our lives. Everything is a probability. That's why psychics can never truly predict your future. There's always a different set of timelines that are probable.
Definitely.
And
so you're telling me that there's multiple realities that are existing at the same time.
Yes, by default, that is exactly what that would mean.
Okay.
And what happens with like and it's right, and so this is the other aspect of it. It is your observation of something that makes it exact. So everything is always existing as a set of probabilities. So there's different probabilities of different timelines. Some are more likely than others, right? It's your observation of something that kind of makes it real and so like once you observe a single timeline, or what you could either do by like energizing it and kind of thinking about it to kind of like increase the probability of it. Once you observe that timeline, or like once you live it out, like all the other timelines collapse.
Okay. Yep.
So that's kind of like a general idea. Well, so I guess in terms of timelines, it's not. I think that I guess in terms of the collapse, maybe I'm more so thinking about like there is like some aspect of quantum physics that is a little bit black and white like that. So I guess, I'll be getting into a lot more quantum physics. But for now, and for just what I want to talk about today, this idea of things being they're a little wiggly.
Yeah. So I think even with fluid. That, to touch on that,
I'm just going to keep doing this.
So when you say that the higher probability of something, that would also be in another term, manifestation.
Yeah. Wait, what do you mean?
Okay, this came to me when you were talking about it.
Yeah,
let's go back there.
Go.
Okay, so when you're saying there's a different set of probabilities, and when you think about something, then you're kind of going into making that thing be the higher probability. Yes. So that is a direct manifestation.
Correct.
Direct example of a manifestation in that way.
Correct. Yes. So this is perfect segue into just glitches in the matrix and kind of how they might happen. So okay, so a glitch in the matrix is when you basically hop between realities. And so when the scenario that kind of has to be existing to let this happen is that, or the times where this is most likely to happen, is when you kind of energize two separate realities, or say there's some decision, or say you're on the fence about some decision, right? You're equally putting your intention into this. Say, like, an easy example is like, and I'm gonna tell a glitch in the matrix story that I heard from someone I think it was from Elizabeth April, actually. An interesting glitch in the matrix story about this car thing. So say you're trying to choose between two different cars, right? So in that case, you're really energizing two timelines, and you're thinking about them too, and you're playing them out. And this is another reason, this is another way kind of how glitches in the matrix happen, or they can also happen by kind of just subconsciously wanting something to happen. But so say you're on the fence between something, you're energizing two timelines. In that case, maybe those timelines end up having, so in like a bell curve probability distribution function, those timelines kind of end up having similar high probabilities. Mm-hmm. And so you're energizing those two timelines. And once you choose one, the other one doesn't necessarily go away because all of these realities exist, right? Because just because I didn't choose to move my crystal over here 10 seconds ago doesn't mean that there's not another reality doesn't mean that reality doesn't exist. So all the realities exist, but you just energize another timeline.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to touch on too, is how every reality exists. And I think that's really important to touch on with the listeners too. And I think we'll probably get into that a little bit more with each episode, but every single timeline, every single reality out there exists. So the one that you live under a bridge in a box, that reality exists. I'm sorry to say, but the one where you make $1 million and you live in your dream home, that reality also exists, and everything in between and outside of that. So that's really interesting, because once you understand that, and then like what you were talking before, once we can decide, or we can go to the highest probable reality, we can start actually putting ourselves and moving ourselves onto the timeline that we want to be on, and moving realities. So if you want to go, I don't want to say it in a hierarchical way, so I don't want to say like up the ladder, but you're able to, move realities based on your beliefs and your mindset and a bunch of other things that we'll also get into.
Right. And it's like, even just like, right, I'm describing this in the context of glitches in the matrix, but even just having this understanding, and I've seen it too with people in my life, like my cousin that I've kind of talked about this, like now my cousin starts talking in terms of timelines. She's like, well, I think there's a timeline for this. And just even having this understanding can change the way that you think about things in your life, which is pretty cool. And which can help manifest, or you can just start thinking about things really differently.
Well, it gives you a sense of control too, where, instead of like life is happening to me, I can actually control this, and I can choose what timeline I want to go on, or I can work towards that. So I feel like we should probably dedicate almost like a whole episode at another time to like this whole topic, because there's a lot to get into. Because there's people that are probably listening that are like, okay, great, I can choose my reality, blah, blah, blah. How do I do that? How do I choose my reality? How do I get onto my highest timeline? And that's something else that we can absolutely dive into.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's a little nugget anyways.
Yes, definitely. And right, so it's like once you have those realities energized, now getting into glitches in the matrix, this is a little bit more of a specific, just like a little fun thing that can happen with quantum physics, because it's so weird and because nothing's really so defined. If you so you have those two realities, if you are in some or especially if that decision was not necessarily there wasn't so much care about that decision, it was you weren't really like investing so much onto it. Just to say, glitches in the matrix happen more often with mundane topics, because when we are attached, this is actually really, really important point to make, because when we're attached to an outcome, that's us energizing a timeline. Us being attached to an outcome like either in a good, there's more to get into with that, obviously, because there's like there's like attachments that aren't as healthy, but just by, if you have a polarity to it, if you're like leaning one way or the other, you're putting more energy, a higher probability into something, either to have it exist in your reality or just like in your field or something like that. So glitches in the matrix happen more often when it's a topic that's mundane, because the reason for that is because when you are not observing your reality so rigidly, because like what I said, when you observe your reality, that's when things become rigid. When you're observing your reality and you're like, this is there, that's when things become rigid. If you kind of step back and you let the quantum field move back into its waveform and everything becomes a little more loosey-goosey, and especially if you're not super attached to something, that is when you can experience a glitch in the matrix, because you're not grabbing onto things. And so you can almost see it as like, so you're sitting back, like, right, you're not physically, you're not so attached to this topic. I love what I'm doing with my hands here. I hope that it's really painting the picture.
Yeah, it is.
You're not super attached to anything. The quantum field is gonna do the quantum field. It's gonna be loose. It's gonna not be rigid. And so when that happens, there's multiple timelines that are kind of, they're floating. There's multiple timelines. And when you're in a state that you're not really so, you're not forcing anything, you're kind of just existing, you're like, oh, whatever, I'm experiencing whatever, your reality becomes a little fuzzy, and you can hop into one of those timelines, and then even like an hour later or a day later or something, hop right back into the other. So that is what a glitch in the matrix is. And I just I'll just give the example of this, I think Elizabeth April, who is a psychic channeler that we both had given this example when I started learning about glitches in the matrix. Like, I think she was somewhere, and someone had a certain kind of car in their garage, or she was visiting a friend or something, and she asked about the car, and essentially she saw the car as like, I'm going to say like a Toyota or something, and she was between a Toyota and a Jeep, and one day Elizabeth April was in the garage, and she asked like, oh, something about the Toyota, and then she said it to the person, and she was like, I don't have a Toyota, I have a Jeep, but the other car I was gonna get was gonna be a Toyota. And so that was a glitch in the matrix, because the person that experienced this hopped into the timeline where that person bought the other car. And it was validated when she went to talk to her, and she said, oh, I just saw this car. She was like, that's not the one I have, but it was the one I was considering. So I hope that kind of is able to complete this picture of energizing timelines and your intentions, and how things just become not super rigid. And just the last thing on this, which this is also a topic that we can talk more about, is the Mandela effect. And what this is like half of the population remembering something one way, and the other half of the population remembering something the other way. And actually, I'm getting chills. Okay, and I actually have a really cool, one of the examples of the Mandela effect is the Berenstain Bears. And I have a cool connection to this because my sister's sister-in-law is in the Berenstain family. Did I tell you this yet?
No, you didn't
like
tell
the
me
original, like her grandfather or great grandfather wrote and made the books.
That's interesting. Okay, before you get into it, I just want to say, I want to mention that to listeners. I'm curious on their thoughts if they've noticed the Berenstain Bear thing, because I very much did, but I'm curious to see if other people did too.
Oh, yeah.
Totally. I remember the books that were spelt the one way, and then however many years later you look back at it and you literally can't find TV, you can't find any of the books that say I don't remember this one spelling versus the other spelling, but I remember how different it was, and how you couldn't find anything the same anymore, and that was so weird. It really threw my mind for a loop. So I'm super curious if anyone else experienced that. I mean, I'm sure
I've talked to friends about the Mandela effect, and I have friends that have experienced different versions of the Mandela effect.
Yeah.
And so just to kind of close that loop, one way to explain it, so my sister's sister-in-law, she's in the Berenstain family, and I can confirm it's Stain. Lovely girl. I love her. Anyway, so basically, I think an explanation I've heard put forth about why this happened is like when so I don't know how literal this is, but it paints the picture. Like when whoever like immigrated to Ellis Island or whatever and started the name Berenstein or whatever, you know, you have to like create your last name or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He was on the fence. There was like some
cool.
indecision when
that
name was like being created or being decided upon, and that is what caused the Berenstein Bears Mandela effect.
Wow. See, that's really cool that you know that, because elsewise I wouldn't have known that person was thinking about the two different types of spelling. That's a crazy one. What are some other ones? There was, I think, like the Statue of Liberty, like where it was. Have you heard or seen that one?
No.
Huh. Well, you're in New York, so you should know.
Right? I should. You know, I've never been to the Statue of Liberty. Oh my God.
Me neither. But apparently, okay, what is it? Is it on an island?
Yeah, it's like in the water.
Okay. Apparently I obviously don't know very well, so I'll just like loosely say this, but there was there's like pictures of it being not on that island. There's like pictures somewhere that exist. I'll have to look this up after, of it being like more like on the mainland, and like that's how it actually used to be, and now it's on the island, and people like remember visiting it, and it wasn't on the island, it was like on the mainland. Really? Yeah, I'll have to look it up. But crazy. My phone is recording me, so I am kind of tied at the moment.
There we go. Good. Well, that's good. Still recording. So, yeah. All right. I think I'm definitely going to be talking about all this stuff more, but for one of these first episodes, it's a topic that is super interesting. It breaks people's brain. That's exactly the things that I gravitate to. So
yeah, and it's also like, gives an idea of a few different things that we'll be talking about in the future and getting into. So if any of those things sound really interesting, stay around, tune in.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's switch it over to our other topic for the day.
Okay, let's do it.
Time to talk to my spirit guides. What do they want to tell me?
Let's talk to Alyssa's spirit guides after I go to the bathroom.
And this podcast is sponsored by...
Just kidding. We just started out. We don't have those yet. Okay, spirit guides. So I feel like it's interesting because most of the sessions I've done lately, I'm like, okay, I'm going to tap into your spirit guides. We're going to do it. Yeah. And then I look at them and they kind of have this blank look on their face. And then I'm like, oh, shit.
Right.
Do you know what your spirit guides are?
Not everyone knows.
No. And I forget that too.
I forget it all the time.
I was listening to a podcast. Actually, I think it was a workshop recently where they're like, remember, you're the expert. Like, not everyone's going to be on the same like level as you. Yeah. And I need to remember that a lot, that I'll be more in like, I'm going to be helping people learn about these things instead of like talking to you sometimes and how we know about all of these things. Mm-hmm. Not in like a good or bad way, but anyways.
In a way that we're sharing our experience.
Yeah. So it makes sense that a lot of like the people that I work with, they don't necessarily know about that yet because they're coming to me to learn about that. But yeah, sometimes I forget that people don't know. So as I explained to them, we are all born with a spirit team, which are our spirit guides that are on the other side, that are assisting us from the other side. So I mean, at another time, we'll probably also get a little bit more into soul contracts and what a soul contract looks like, but our spirit guides before we are born have made contracts with us in the universe to assist us from the other side as we navigate this like earth plane. So our spirit guides, by the term spirit guides, are a spirit, but they can look like an ET spirit or an actual ET, which is also maybe a controversial topic that we will get into. As well as they can be loved ones who have passed. They can be people or souls that have been in past lives with you. They can be animal guides. I have an animal guide. That's a protector. They can be, I don't know, what else can they be, Alyssa? I literally wrote this down on a list the other day.
Well, I wanted to mention that the ET spirit guides have the same kind of, or part of the reason that you can talk about this more, like part of the reason that spirit guides are your spirit guides is because those are souls that you've had connections with in other lifetimes, and so that's the reason. So it's not like some random alien is just gonna be like, I'm gonna help Alyssa with her life today. I mean, that would be nice, but
that's true. That's a good point.
It's so the reason that there are ET spirit guides, the origin of it is that you maybe have had another lifetime on a different planet, and that was your family member or something in a different galaxy or something, and so that is why we have ET spirit guides. And if you do have a lot of connections to other planets and stuff like that, but just like the human spirit guides, so like human spirit guides can sometimes be someone that you maybe you didn't know them in this lifetime or something, but you had other Earth lifetimes with that person. So I feel like definitely. One of the most important thing about spirit guides is that and this really helps people kind of establish a connection with them, is that they love you and they are really connected to you, actually, and you know them. It's like your sister in this lifetime is just helping you from the other side. Like, that's really what it is. And that kind of, I think, helps people maybe open up more to it or connect with them.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I think it's also possible to have spirit guides that are actually on the earth with you too. I feel like that's a little bit more rare, but sometimes you can have mentors who are also your spirit guides, or who would be if they crossed over, or vice versa. But yeah, anyways, I think it was good that you pointed out that we're really connected to them, because we've been connected in another lifetime, if that's Earth or somewhere else. And then it also is like it is the spirit or the soul. So when we say ET, like at one time, or could have been like the physical being, or like the physical but it's the spirit that we're connecting with. And then also angels are a big one, like literally, like I know you're Jewish, but like in the Bible they talk about like the angels that came and visited or like watched over and stuff, and like those are them. A lot of us have angels too, to protect us and to guide us as well. Yeah. And all of these, I feel like we're so much saying we'll get into this, but we have so much stuff. I know.
So yeah, sorry guys in advance.
So stay tuned. But I guess there is like different dimensions that these spirit guides can reside in. So like an angel would reside, I think they're in the 9th dimension. So they're pretty high up there, like very angelic energy, as in some of the ETs might be more in the 5th dimension, which is still a higher frequency than what our Earth is right now. But
higher dimensions are just like higher layers, higher levels of consciousness. And it is kind of easy to think about, because it is in a sense like a little bit like the afterlife would be like a higher dimension, because it's not as physical, right? Like souls and spirits that have like crossed over or whatever. It's a higher plane that is not so dense and bound by the physical dimension.
Yeah. So anyways, your spirit guides, your spirit team are really your spirit family, and they're here to help you. And what's also really interesting is you have been, or probably have been, their spirit guide in another life.
That blows my mind. Like sometimes I'm like, oh my, like what? Like, I mean, the other thing is we're probably being like a aspect of our soul, of our consciousness, is probably being a spirit guide right now, because everything's so multidimensional. Like we're a spirit guide to someone else right now. So well, once you get into like everything's happening at like the same time, and those timelines and stuff like that too. So I'll do a little reading for you on your spirit guides and maybe pull some cards, but before that, let me think what else needs to come through about spirit guides. Okay, so there comes a point when your spirit guides are trying to probably contact you. If you're listening to this podcast, I would imagine that there's a reason why you're here, and there's a reason that you're listening to this information. I mean, as with everything, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But when I first started connecting with my spirit guides, I was kind of the same way. I'm just like, what? Like, what is that? Like, I have no idea what that is. And actually, to get into a little bit of story time, I
I was really spiritual when I was young, and then I feel like just because of life circumstances, I kind of like completely forgot about that part of me. And then I got to this part in life. I was in respiratory therapy school at the time, and I was having a really hard go, honestly. Like, I was pretty depressed, very anxious after just leaving my family life. So I was in my early 20s kind of navigating what that's going to look like after that. So a time of kind of like before healing, where I'm just like processing and very, very much in survival mode. And I kind of felt like victim mentality. Everything's happening to me. I can't get anything right. Like, I was struggling with some of my schoolwork, or just like showing up. I didn't have the energy levels. I was always tired. Like, you know, it goes on and on when you're kind of like in that depressive state. And I had a friend who, she was my roommate. She had a couple of her friends that had passed away when she was younger. So she had gone to mediums a few times. And I was like, wow, yeah, that's like really cool. Like, I've never really thought about it or tapped into it. But I mean, I've been interested in it, but I guess never much more past the interest point, because I was always like, that's something that those people can do. I'm never going to be able to do that. But it's really interesting. And I remember watching, the Long Island Medium specifically, and really liking that show and thinking it was really interesting. But then my dad would walk in and be like, oh my God, that lady is full of shit. And I'm just like, oh, okay. She doesn't know. Like, I'm like, oh, okay. So like, obviously you internalize that stuff. But anyway, so I had the seed planted about mediums. And I think it was in the summer of actually 2019, so really not that long ago. Out of nowhere, I had this really strong pull that I needed to go and see a medium. And I haven't really had anyone super close to me pass away, and that's kind of in my head what I thought mediums were for. Like, you go to a medium if somebody passes away. Like, that winter in January, my partner's dad passed away. But I mean, I wasn't really super close with him, and I wasn't like trying to go out of my way to connect with him. So I mean, maybe he was trying to come through me. And besides that, like, I had a friend in high school, I guess, pass away. But there wasn't, what I'm trying to say is, there wasn't anyone that I like really stood out in my mind that I need to go to a medium and like connect with right now. But I had this pull that I should go to a medium. So I knew of this one girl in the city that I was closest to, and she was all booked up because she was pregnant, but she referenced this other lady. And so I talked to her, and she's like, well, I'm like really, really booked out. Like, we're probably only going to be able to do a Zoom meeting. And at the time, that just like didn't really sit right with me, because I'd never had this happen before. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll see, because I was moving away for school. So that's why the Zoom meeting thing. And then, at the very last minute, she let me know that like a regular who literally has never canceled before and comes every week canceled her appointment. So she had an opening for me. So super exciting. I went there, not really knowing what to expect, kind of just really starting to delve into this. And when I first sat down, something started to come through about my partner's dad. And I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then after that, the whole reading, and she spent probably 2 to 3 hours with me. The whole reading was just about me. And then this is where I'm learning, well, like, where is she getting all this information from me? Well, these are my spirit guides. And the one thing that has always stood out to me is my ears had been ringing a lot that summer, like a lot. And I remember on the drive to go see her, because I had to drive about an hour to go meet her at her place, my ears were ringing like so crazy. And I never said this to her, but she mentioned it to me right away when we started getting into the stuff about me. Yeah, she's like, yeah, I tap into things before. And like, yeah, earlier when your ears were ringing when you were driving here, like literally says what happened. And I'm like, holy shit. She's like, that. Those were your spirit guides trying to get your attention. And then this is when I was kind of like, this whole world of, well, what are my spirit guides? Who are they? What does that mean? Opened up. And she said, well, they're trying to get your attention. And like I said, I sat with her for probably 2 to 3 hours. But basically it was like, it's time, honey, for you to tune in to your spirit guides. And this is how you, like, things in your life are going to get better when you start to listen to them, and then as well as tune into your intuition. And it's more about tuning into your own intuition, but they act as a guide to help you on this earth plane for your soul mission and your soul purpose. And there's this huge awakening that's happening right now, which you talked about on our first episode, just about how the frequency of the planet is actually changing right now, like on a scientific level. And with that, souls are beginning to wake up. So I feel like a lot of us are having this call to follow our intuition or to live out our soul's purpose, whatever that means. So again, if you're here,
the veil is thinning right now between the physical world and the spiritual world, is the way to put it too. And the other thing that came to me about the spirit guides, or that I guess I just wanted to mention, was that your spirit guides know you like similar or better than you know yourself.
Totally.
Like, they're with you all the time. They've been with you since you're born, before. Like, they've been with you. And it's also a really nice thought to you're never alone. And it's like, it's kind of cute. It's kind of sweet, because it's like, you know, you go your whole beginning of your life and you don't know what your purpose is, or you don't know what you want to do. And they were just there with you the whole time. And they were just watching you, and they were just patient while you were being like dumb in high school, and they were just patient while you're like getting blackout in college, and they're just patient, and they're just there, you know.
Literally, when you're face down in a field with a bottle of vodka. Just kidding, Mom. I was at a sleepover. They were with you.
Yeah, it's like, it's a nice thought, because it's like, and they're patient until you're ready to talk to them, until you're ready to communicate with them. And I think it's nice.
And that's the other thing, because you're probably thinking back to all the shitty times in your life right now, being like, well, if my spirit guides were with me, what the fuck? Like, thanks for helping me. But we have this thing on this earth or in the universe called divine free will, and they can't step in and help us unless we ask them to help us. But that's the thing.
That is a really important part of all of this, actually.
Yeah, it is really important, because they can't help you. They can't do anything unless you give them consent to help you.
You have to ask for help.
You have to ask for help, and they're always there to help and assist you. But that's the thing. A lot of people, if they don't know their spirit guides are there, and they don't know that they can access that realm, how are they going to ask for help?
And like another thing, like stuff that we do recently, and practices that we start, is intention setting, or like asking your spirit guides for help. Like we'll tell the story of how they help you like find things, right?
Oh yeah, they help me find things. Was there a specific story for this, or just like in general?
Oh, I just remember, like, maybe, I guess there's just multiple ones where like, I think you're like in a phase where you were like asking them for help a lot, and it was just like every single thing, like, oh, I can't find like this other boot for like a half an hour, like, spirit guides, please help me, and then you just find it. Like,
it happens to me literally all the time. Now that I can like ask for help, like I'll be rushing around trying to do something, and there's like one specific like shirt that I'm looking for, and I can't look for it. I can't find it at all. And then I'm just like, spirit guides, for the love of God, please help me find this shirt. And literally the next like thing I uncover is the shirt. Yeah. Like
stuff like that.
Explain that to me.
Everyone listening can like practice that. Like, even if you don't like know your spirit guides or whatever, you can just say like, guides, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And honestly, like, if you're open enough to it, it definitely works.
Yeah, definitely. And I also want to mention that the purpose of your spirit guides is to help you and assist you in cultivating your own intuition. Because I don't want people to like think like, oh, you're
the answers.
Yeah, that they're all like it's the all end all be all, and like they should be telling you exactly what to do. It's not like that. They're here to assist you and support you while you cultivate your own intuition and sense of trust and confidence. And then that's where you're gonna move from, is that higher self space. But they're helping you get there. And I guess, yeah, and I'm just saying that we're in this space now where we have access to this realm, because before we'd think it's just the psychics or the mediums.
Right.
No.
Exactly.
You, Alyssa, you, the listener, whoever, you have access to this. But the first step is giving consent and asking your spirit guides to come in.
Yeah, like that's another thing to just say right now. Like, we're no longer living in a world where there's psychics that can do this, and this person can do this, but I can't, and so I have to go to them. Like, those times were in the past, but like they maybe existed, but like those times are over now. Like now everyone can do this. And you can start now and you practice and you get better. And like for real, the veil is thinning where a lot more people are going to be tapping into their own energy and their own information and stuff like that.
Yeah. And even like with that, like when I went and seen the medium, like I was like, oh my God, what? And she's like, okay, well, you're like gifted and they're trying to tell you that. And that was like this huge like point in time and space for me.
Just got an earring. I got a ringing.
As I'm talking about the medium that was telling me about what the earring.
Yeah. I was like, you're gifted.
I wonder what that means. As I was at this point where she was telling me that I could do this and that this was going to be something really huge for my past. So that's 3 years ago when I don't know what the fuck that means. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I don't know how to tune in at all. Fast forward to today, I just did a session with somebody where I channeled their spirit guides for them and what need to come through, as well as I channeled somebody who had passed for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And it's so powerful. And
so you can do it.
And another thing too is like spirit guides have personalities.
Yeah.
They're because your soul like your soul does actually have a personality. Like your soul has an essence. Your soul has like its own unique energetic signature. And so even like in other realms or whatever, and these energies, they have a personality. And I mean, if we're mostly done talking about spirit guides in general, it's a great segue to that one spirit guide of mine that is always really cheeky. Every time you do a reading for me, this one spirit guide is like, I don't know, what's that definition of crazy? You repeat the same thing over and over again. And I'm like, listen, I know I'm in a cycle. Okay.
They do have personalities, which is great.
Yeah.
And they are not God. And, they are beings that I would say are appointed by God to help us in our soul's evolution. And we're evolutioning, baby. So I guess now I'll tap into some of your guides and see what comes through.
Yeah. See what wants to come through, or maybe like give a description of a few of them, just to kind of like paint the picture for people of like what they look like, or whatever comes through.
Okay. Let's take a minute and I'll just ground in. Okay. So I feel like what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of give a description of some of your guides that come forward. And then I'm going to pull just one card for you just to show, just like them bringing a message through and like divine guidance and like how they can kind of look and how someone can start working with that. So the one being that comes to me right away is a gray being. This is an ET type of being.
Oh, we're going there.
We're going there. Tall, slender. I mean, I'm probably not going to like super get into it. So if you are really interested, Google like gray beans, and because we will get into this a little bit more on tall grays. Yeah, because there's other grays. Yeah, no shit. And like I think like I just see like the big head, the big kind of beady black eyes, and like 3 fingers, and like you can see like their rib cage. And this is one of, I don't actually know the name of this being. I feel like you do. I feel like it starts with an S though, but do you know?
No, there was one. Jenny told me that I had a gray guide named Hira. Is that Hira?
Hira?
But I don't know if that's, like,
I mean,
H-E-R-A.
Okay, well.
No, I might have multiple gray guides.
No, this is funny. Just let me say this, because it's either, I heard Shira, so.
Oh.
So regardless, very close. So,
okay.
I mean.
So maybe it was. Okay.
It totally probably is Hira, or could be, but it's just funny because that's also something while you practice mediumship or whatever, like people should know when you get it. Like not everything is completely definitive or always necessarily right, but we're learning to communicate and learning that sense of practice. So and we keep saying this, get into this more on another one.
Feels probably like the same guide. Okay. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, I would say it's
good
the
confirmation.
Same guide. She's going like this to say that she's the same guide. So she's the same guide. Yeah. Okay. And then it's kind of funny because like, since they know we're doing this is super cool because they're here to like support our podcast, but they're just kind of like lined up. So she literally just like took a step back after and was like, okay, like I'm done. Like I'm here. So the next one is, okay. I see like a big blue aura, but blonde, like long hair, very what's the word, pointed,
like jawline, like a defined jawline.
Yeah.
Pleiadian.
Oh yeah, it's Pleiadian.
Oh
yeah. So I mean, I guess we should preface by saying that Alyssa has a lot of ET guides. That's why she's so fucking smart. Because she has all this like alien technology like instilled,
cosmic connection.
Yeah, into her like actual DNA. I mean, and then we're also gonna get into each of the star systems. But anyways, and I just see her like adorned with like, this is not a girl, this is a guy. He's a guy, but he's got long hair. With like kind of long blue robes that have like gold and stuff in them. And I'm getting the word like commander. So he's like, yeah, like a commander of a ship of some sorts. And
GFL ship probably.
Yeah, or you lived out a lifetime where you guys were like doing that together. But
I know I've had lifetimes as a Pleiadian on the GFL ship.
Same. Yeah, same.
Yeah. So maybe it was that.
Yeah, I was Arcturian in that one. But anyways, he's very like...
Name for him?
Pardon?
Sorry. Is there a name for him? Sorry, I'm excited. I was just jumping the gun.
Hierarch.
Hierarch.
H-E-R-A-K.
Oh, okay.
Hierarch.
Okay. Hierarch. Cool.
If you think we're crazy, I'm so sorry.
Just the beginning.
We might be, but we also made a lot of good points about the universe.
I know, right? I think we sound pretty legit.
Yeah, he's very like practical. I don't know if I said that or not yet. There's something else I was gonna say, but it escaped me before I said his name. He's very practical, and I feel like you can call on him in times of when you need help with school and you need help with that kind of stuff, like with school and structure, because he's very masculine. Okay, there's this other one. I find him so funny. He's got really like teen spirit energy, and he looks like Jesus and Shaggy from Scooby-Doo.
Yes. This is the one that
yeah, he's so funny and sarcastic.
You've described him other readings. I've had him described in other readings, just to give everyone context about this. Like, I've had other readings, so a lot of these things that we're talking about right now have been separately confirmed. I've had other readings talk about this one guide that kind of looks like Jesus, like long hair, shaggy hair. I think this is the one that's really cheeky with me, or with you to me.
He's like funny. Like, if you were to hang out with him in real life, he'd be really funny, but he's kind of like sarcastic and
and is he human?
Yeah, he's human. He's got like a nose ring too. I don't know. I feel like that's important to say, like an actual ring. Yeah, and he's very just like.
What's his name? I want to know his name.
I don't know his name.
Okay, not coming through. Okay, another time. Guess I'm not supposed to know.
No. Well, to be honest,
I bet he wants me to find out myself. That's probably what he's gonna say.
Yeah, that's literally exactly what it is. I mean, also the thing with like, even when I've worked with my mentor, he's told me a lot, like, you don't get like stuck on the names or even what they necessarily look like, because they do like to present themselves to us in a certain way, but they can really shift, right? They can also shift.
Yeah.
And same with their names. Like, their names are a name that they've assigned to themselves that our human brains can understand.
Right, exactly. That's a good thing to mention. Like, these names are not necessarily their names. First off, like, a lot of these things are a name, anything is a frequency, right? When you say any name, it like gives off a frequency. So that's all that these things are. And they're translations into things. Anytime we communicate with spirit guides, they're translations into things that we can understand a little bit better with our limited mind. Because even though our soul is so infinite, we're still working with a limited container of a human brain. So it's like there are limitations in this reality. Like we have a monkey mind. That just is what it is. So there's only so much that we can transmit.
Yeah, definitely. So back to, I'm just gonna call him Shaggy.
Okay, sounds good. Love that.
Back to Shaggy. That's funny. There's a synchronicity with that too. Totally irrelevant, but I think that's what Bryce is gonna be, or my partner is gonna be for Halloween.
Oh, for Halloween. Love it.
Yeah, so he's personality very cheeky. Like I know sometimes if I've done a reading for Alyssa or she's like, ask my spirit guides, I'm like, well, they kind of just told you to figure it out. So that's all that I got from them, which definitely happens because Alyssa's at this point where she's tapping into her psychic gifts
ready to
and
fly.
They don't want me to give her the answers. So they're like, figure it out, bitch. And sometimes they say that. I mean, depending on who your spirit guides are, they know if they can joke around with you or be cheeky like that.
Right. Yeah, you can be fun with them too. Like, have a relationship with them.
Yeah.
Be fun with them. They know your personality. They know you. So
totally.
They know how funny I am.
Exactly. Funny and pretty.
Exactly.
Okay, as we were talking, and this is also for people that are listening to me, I'm really sorry so cool. when I just like blank out and like just like completely lose my thoughts, but because the spirits are talking to me and they keep cutting me off. So this is going to happen a lot, good. But it just happened where I was talking about the one spirit guide and another spirit guide came through for you who I feel like you might not have actually met before, but I'm curious to see what you think. She is a lady and she's sitting cross-legged, like she's sitting down on the floor or the ground, and I feel a lot of like ancient wisdom from her, like very like medicine woman, very motherly. She's actually even like kind of holding a baby or like holding like her womb space or something. So this is really interesting because this guide is coming in at this time for you to call on for assistance now that you know that she's here, to activate and feel into your divine feminine a little bit more.
Well, isn't that always the theme of my readings? I need to lean into my divine feminine a little more. So, all right. Well, that's good. That's good.
Oh, and since it'll help you to call on her better, her name is Anina, Aneena.
Okay.
And she's like very like soft-spoken and gentle and kind of quiet, but like, you know, she's like very like strong also and like very ancient. Like she looks like very tribal.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Nice. Well, I can't wait to work with her.
Yeah, that's cool. Should I play you a card and then wrap up?
Let's see what we've introduced the lineup.
Yeah.
Some of the lineup.
Anything else you wanted to touch on about that, or any other guides that I didn't mention that didn't come through that you maybe know of?
I know that there is some of the references that I say when I pull from guides is from other readings that I have had. I know there is probably like some female Pleiadian on my team.
Wow.
That's the only other one that I remember being like coming through a lot in a reading.
That makes sense. Unless I confused these guys because it's just long blonde hair. So
yeah.
And I also want to say,
I think we got a really cool like. I think this is awesome. I really hope that everyone is enjoying the show.
Enjoying the shit show.
Enjoying the show.
And I was also gonna say, you're welcome. Setting a sacred space and protecting yourself before connecting. So I think this is really, really important to talk about, although I feel like we're getting to the point of running out of time today because we'll need to dedicate more time. If that's something you want to listen to, I'm going to make a point of talking about that on our next episode because that's really important before connecting, knowing how to set up a sacred space and protecting yourself so that you are calling in your guides that are of love and light.
Right.
Okay. Good.
Yeah, let's do a little message and then we'll wrap up because I think,
Just clearing the cards.
Oh, I didn't know that's how you clear your cards.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Yeah, I always knock on it and just like clear them.
Yeah.
Okay, so calling in Alyssa's angels and guides for a message that she needs to hear right now. You don't actually have to use cards. I like to because they're cute and fun and pretty, and they give a nice little visual representation to whoever that they're for. Mm-hmm. So we'll just wait for that to come out. You can't really see me shuffling. Oh, there we go. Ooh. Okay. Star Keeper, cosmic ancestor, seed the light by staying grounded.
This is fitting for right now when we're talking about all of my cosmic family.
I think that's really cool that we are talking about all this, and this is the sorry, I'm probably far away from the mic. This is the card that we pulled.
Yeah, that is really cool, actually.
It's real, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, let me tune into this for a second. Okay, so they're just saying that, like we talked about, that you are a cosmic ancestor, and with that, you can call upon them for support. I mean, we've talked about that and doing that, but they're just like reminder that you can call upon us for support for literally anything and everything. So if you need a little extra boost for some things in your life right now, finishing your paper or whatever, call on them.
And I have been. I call in everyone in the universe before I start doing my work.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah, fair enough. I feel like this is also just a reminder to the listeners about being able to call on them, and then see the light by staying grounded. So I feel like this card is actually coming through to let you know, like your guides and angels want to let you know that you're doing a good job, and that they recognize that, and that they're really proud of you. And this is just like a reminder of like, keep going, keep seeding the light by being you, keep anchoring in and keep grounding, and most importantly, keep regulating.
Yeah. Right.
Let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, they're saying that your self-regulation practice is like really, really, really important. So keep going on that train, which you know that, but it's obviously just a reminder to come through. Sometimes it's...
Yeah, and it's good validation just for me knowing that like it is working as much as I think that it is, you know?
Yeah. They say with the Kundalini, it's like you're opening up a portal, and there's going to be and there's going to be,
feel that,
like, there's going to be like a next phase. So you're going to finish up your paper, your doctorate, and then it's like there's like a portal after that, or maybe on that day, that is going to like open up after, where your psychicness and your abilities and that part of you is really going to start coming to the forefront.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel that too. Like, because it kind of just goes along with the whole idea of with anything. It's like once you complete one chapter, you're at a new level and you're ready for something else. And so I feel like once I finish my PhD, it's like, and also it's about space, right? It's like when I finish my PhD, a whole thing that was taking up my life force energy for 7 years is cleared, and then it leaves space, and then I'm ready for the next things to come in. So that's awesome.
Cool.
It's exciting.
Yeah,
for me.
It is. Hell yeah.
Yeah, and like with the Kundalini, like, oh my God, it's so powerful that you feel that portal opening up every time. I mean, every time you do the practice, it's just like, third eye popping.
I mean, I don't know how much, like, we've already been going for a while, but I mean, long episodes are probably okay. I was curious if there's any points that you can think of or remember in time where you were like, oh, like, you're like, my spirit guides are here, or like kind of like my story. Or like learning to tap into them, and how that helped your life, how that affected your life, if it did.
Yeah, I think like, well, you know, I'll tell like when I first started learning about this, like, and this is another thing we want to talk about, like just kind of how we came into our awakenings more and stuff. Like I remember right, like when I first started to like notice the number 444, and I had heard about it from like other mediums that I watched on TV and stuff like that, and I knew that it was like an angel number, whatever. But I remember like when I first, and I was like in a really important transition in my life, like I was about to take like the qualifying exams in my program, like a big like comprehensive exam and everything, and I remember like starting to notice 444s, and then I like looked it up. And so I guess this is more just about like the first synchronicities that I started to experience. But that was important because it was the first time that I actually, it was really one of the first stages of me branching into my spirituality. It was like kind of the first time that I was like, wait, this is real. Like, oh my God, they're here and they're communicating with me. And it felt big, and it was like, because it was like right when I found out what the number 444 meant, and I like looked it up, and I was like, whoa, cool, synchronicities. Then I saw it everywhere, and I remember so specifically, like I saw it a bunch on like license plates in that one day, and like just and not even just like on a highway, just like I was backing up in a parking lot, and like the one car in my rear view mirror was like 444, stuff like that. And then that day I looked at the time that the sun was going to set. Why was I even looking up the time of the sunset? I don't know. And the sun was going to set at 4:44 that day. And so there was just kind of like this conglomerate of signs. And that was the first time where I really felt a connection to my spirit team, I think, and just the idea of synchronicities. And I was like, wait, oh, wow, they are really here. This is really like a thing and happening. And I think that's kind of like that year. And I remember, this was like January of 2018. That year was like very transformational for me in terms of hitting rock bottom to come back up. In terms of divine intervention, divine intervention, divine redirection.
Said, get your shit together.
2018 was a really big year on that for me.
Same.
So when I look back at it, I kind of see it as like the beginning of my journey to understanding the spirit world and understanding like my spirituality and stuff.
Yeah, nice, cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, so do we have anything else we want to mention for today? I feel like we got in, like, this was a really great episode for everyone. I really hope that this has captured your attention, given a good preview for some of the things, planted seeds for you to think about things, given a good preview for a lot of things. This is kind of how this is going to go, like a lot of live channeling, like from Michaela and from myself about other information. And these things are really going to evolve as the podcast and show evolves. But definitely a lot of this stuff and a lot of live channeling, and really excited.
Cool. Me too. Before we go, I'll just mention some of the stuff that's going on for me. So right now I have some offers available over at my Instagram at Mariposa Moonchild. And I have past life regressions that I'm doing, as well as just kind of a reading where I did with like Alyssa today, where we tapped into their guides, but it would be like a full personalized reading for that. As well as an intuitive activation reading, which I feel like those are going to be my new favorite ones. I should probably give a...
Cool. Is that what you did today?
No, I just did like kind of a general...
Yeah, like kind of a general...
reading, and then tapped into the past loved ones. No, I did one of those ones recently, though. I should probably just explain it because that's kind of like the whole point of doing this. But the intuitive initiation activation... No, the soul initiation activation. So basically, she was in a place where she said yes to my spirit guides, yes to my intuition. I'm ready to go down that path, but I'm really at the beginning stages. So we channeled some messages from her spirit guides, and I pulled some cards and let that came through. And then we began working on her, what I like to call her magic toolbox, which I find that I'm building this with pretty much every single client that I have now, where your guides come through.
That's a nice term.
Yeah, I think it's kind of cool. Or your guides come through to give you, today we talked a little bit more about coping skills, or tools that are going to help you in this transition period as you begin to delve into really cultivating that relationship with your guides and with your higher self and your intuition. So then we brought in a few different tools. And then after that, I did meditation activation where we went through all the chakras. We cleansed and cleared. We grounded in. And then we brought in some really pure, beautiful white light and activated the chakras as well as like the next initiation phase.
Nice. Yeah. And I wanted to mention, like, just as an example of like, I know whatever little reading that you gave for me today, like, was a little bit general, but of course these things, like these messages that you do get very specific, and they do get very tailored. They do get very much like, how are you in my mind? Like that time that my spirit guides told me that I keep on going for my walks in the woods with headphones on when they want me to go and experience the silence. And I was like, how do they know that every time I'm like, I shouldn't bring my headphones?
Because they're always with you.
Listen to music.
Like Mike
They're always with you.
I'm always watching. Or what is that? Did you watch Monsters Inc. as a kid? What? Always watching you, Wazowski. Yeah. Always watching.
Oh, I didn't know that was a skill of yours, doing a...
I feel like we're going to learn a lot about each other now.
We sure are.
Your eyes got like so big. You're just like, what is she doing?
I was like, what? The one other thing about the specifics that I was going to say was like for the toolbox. Like I remember one reading that you gave me, like my guide said to specifically use hematite and transfer my worries to a hematite crystal, which is more like hematite almost looks like metal. It's like a very earthy metallic kind of rock almost, and those kinds of crystals and stuff like really absorb. And so that was, and I did that like right, and I took aligned action, and like right after you said that, I went and I bought a hematite the next day, and I did a practice every morning where I transferred like all of my worries and like all of my things to the hematite, and it was really helped. Like I actually things started turning around. Oh my god, I think the day after that reading is like when I had that like job forwarded to me.
Wow.
That I went through.
Hell yeah, love to hear it.
So just these things like are really synchronistic. There's a lot more specifics that you can get if you get a reading from Michaela.
So that one I think is going to be huge. The building, the like soul initiation activation, but that's where we begin building your toolbox and connecting you to your guides and creating that relationship. So with your toolbox, you're learning to regulate yourself as well as connect to them, so you can start doing this stuff on your own. So it's a really good starting point.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, go book a reading. You definitely should get some guidance, yo. We all need it.
Hell yeah.
You might just find out that you have interdimensional spirit guides, and you might get some messages from a tall guy.
Or that you're meant to do more than work your corporate job 9 to 5.
For myself, I just have my Instagram page, interdimensional.astrophysics. We're on there. I will be posting some fun clips from the podcast. Maybe if there's anything that anything cool that I say, I'll be posting that. I also make separate videos and posts, kind of just on downloads I get about the universe, about all these things that we talk about on here. So go give me a follow over there.
And follow me at
and follow the Instagram page for this podcast, which is at the Orphic podcast.
Yeah. And then I think I already mentioned mine. Follow me at Mariposa Moonchild, as well as please subscribe and like this video and do all those things that podcasters and YouTubers are supposed to say at the end. Like, comment, and subscribe, baby. Fucking do it.
Like, comment, subscribe, leave a review.
Smash the 5 stars. But please do. If you enjoyed this, please smash that 5 stars and leave a comment and review and share a video.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all we have for you today. This has been the Orphic, Beyond Ordinary Understanding. And I'm pretty sure we got into a lot of things beyond ordinary today. So I think we're leaving people on this this first real episode where we're getting into the meat of things. Like, I hope that everyone is
living up to the name.
That we're really getting into the beyond ordinary. All right, well, I'll see you guys next week.
Fair enough.
Bye.
Peace.